Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. Welcome back to the show, John.
Jim, it's a pleasure to be back.
John, Sun Metals provided the first update for this year's drill program at Stardust. Did we learn anything?
Well, the market certainly wasn't pleased with what we did learn because the stock dropped, 40% or so right away. The company started a $3.8 million drill program on July 6th on the Stardust project. And the first hole that they did was finish off the deep one at the northern plunge that they had stopped late last year when they just ran out of time to finish that hole. But all they reported almost 3 months after starting this program was the results for 3 holes. And one of them kind of said, okay, that deeper hole, the plunge, it does peter out, it does taper, and not very interesting. The other 2 holes, one was still on this side of the fault within that 421 zone, and it was good, but it really didn't add much to the general understanding of the project. And the other one was on the other fault, and it maybe opens up potential for the zone to continue to the south. But what annoyed the market was they've continued the same practice as last year, which is to not tell us what they're doing, just to tell us what happened 2 months ago. And they received a lot of flack last year, and they're doing it again. That press release, after we waited 3 months for the first 3 holes, should have told us something about where the other 14 holes that they have drilled. And the press release on September 29th did tell us that, yes, we are going to wrap this up in October. So they are very close to the end of this $3.8 million program. And these first 3 holes haven't told us anything, and they haven't told us where the other holes are to give us some sense of where do they think the zone is going. What they did provide was an excellent 3-dimensional graphic showing their interpretation that the 421 zone, which is considerably more enriched than the Canyon Creek copper zone, for which a resource estimate already exists, and that's closer to surface, this appears to be a feeder zone for this existing resource, and it's going to add to the overall resource and boost the economics. It's unclear whether or not it's yet at critical mass for a mine, but they now have a model of what's going on here. But what the model also tells us, we can see what the tonnage footprint of this is. It's not really going to get bigger. So what else are you doing to make this project bigger, to get it over that critical mass so you can say this is a no-brainer, all it needs is more money to turn it into a mine. So we didn't really learn anything other than 421 is what it is. It tapers away at depth. It appears to feed into the the Canyon Creek zone that's lower grade at surface. What we really want to see is other such feeder zones feeding other parts so that collectively they will end up adding to something. They haven't told us anything along these lines. Now, maybe with these other holes, these other 14 holes, which will, I guess, gradually get the results in between now and late January, maybe they have something there. But you would think, given their pressure after the disastrous news release they put out in January on Roundup Monday, showing that the whole system had basically come to an end and they kept us in the dark for 3 months while the assays were pending. You'd think they would be trying to accommodate the market this time around and give us something positive. But they're doing the same. Trust us, be a sucker, and they are running out of money. This $3.8 million program, I think, will pretty much empty the treasury. And last year, several suckers stood up and gave them money, $6 million between 25 and 32 cents after they pulled back from the 50, 60 cents higher earlier in the year. This time around, I don't think anybody is going to come up and give them money unless there's something substantially new and different. And given the tremendous delays we're seeing with assay results coming out of the lab, we probably won't know what else they have come up with until December, when this stock will probably be in big tax loss selling. So I'm not sure that we need to continue to follow the Stardust project of Sun Metals as a Discovery Watch candidate.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, Azimut Exploration has started drilling at its Piqua copper project in the James Bay region. Is there any reason to hope for an outcome better than what Midland delivered at Mithril in 2019?
Well, just for our audience to remind them, in late 2018, Midland, following up a government copper showing, discovered a field of boulders and bedrock, high-grade copper mineralization in the part of James Bay where there wasn't really anything interesting going on. This was regional exploration. But all of a sudden we had high-grade copper in a region where copper hadn't really shown itself as being particularly interesting. The focus had been mainly on gold exploration. They had looked for the rusty signs of iron sulfides, which are usually associated with some sort of more interesting mineral, but they had not found anything. So here we were in an area, no rust at all, and yet there was this high-grade chalcopyrite, and it was quite exciting. In early 2019, Midland managed to attract a $6 million investment from BHP at $1.70 after they did this IP survey, which showed that, hey, we have, 3-4 kilometers of IP chargeability high associated with all these boulders that were running up to 10-12% copper. But when they drilled it, it turned out that the high-grade mineralization was confined to the margins of granodiorite dikes that had cut the country rock. And they were spaced far enough away so that if you averaged them out, you didn't get a bulk tonnage ore grade situation. And clearly the narrowness of the mineralized zones themselves, even though they were high grade, they weren't very interesting. So Midland was a very big disappointment in 2019. We hope we could get a James Bay area play out of this based on the copper potential. It had previously not been recognized, but it was not to be. However, in April of 2019, just before the drill program started for Midland, Azimut and SOQUEM published the results of a lake bottom sediment survey that they had conducted in 2018 to increase the density of the government one. And it completely changed the understanding of the distribution of copper in that area. And it clearly showed a linear trend continuing from the Mithril trend onto the Piqua project and repeating itself 15-20 kilometers to the west. And last year, Azimut did a lot of work doing catch-up work, collecting additional data, demonstrating that the Mithril system doesn't stop at the Piqua border. It continues at least 5 kilometers more towards the west, where they find boulders and also high-grade copper mineralization in bedrock. And then it kind of fizzles out because the overburden, the till cover starts getting thick. And in an area about 10 kilometers from the Piqua-Mithril border, they managed to get 2 500-meter EM conductors. Now, EM conductors mean high conductivity, and that is caused by massive sulfides or graphite. And obviously when you're looking for copper, you're not looking for a graphite conductor. But this was at least within the linear trend. Midland had never found anything within the area where it had its IP chargeability highs. The IP chargeability highs are associated with disseminated sulfides, a lower level, which is fine because that's where copper ends up, and copper isn't usually part of a massive sulfide unless it's a VMS system. But nobody really quite understands what is going on in this James Bay region. It's clear from the work that both Midland and Azimuth have done that we're dealing with a 20 to 30 kilometer linear trend with which there is a copper geochemical anomaly associated. And what Azimuth did earlier this year was an IP survey on the 5 kilometer extension from the Mithril side of the border onto its what they call the Copperfield East trend, and it showed, yes, we also have these IP chargeability highs. But then the market said, okay, that means you have exactly what Midland delivered last year, and we didn't like what they delivered. It's marginal. It's something for the academics to talk about, but it's not ore body combination of grade and width. And so the company, after doing its IP survey in the second quarter, said, maybe we should project it to the west, extend the grid to the west to include those two conductors, which we really don't understand. We don't have any geochem in that particular area because of the till cover. Maybe this till cover is just obscuring and everything's interesting there and the center of gravity is there. And they put out that news this week showing that the IP chargeability high does continue another 4 kilometers to the west along that Copperfield East trend, and then it kind of disappears right where those two conductors are, which is what you kind of would expect because it's the disseminated sulfides that generate the chargeability high. So they've announced that they will be doing a 2,000 meter drill program of 12 holes. That probably means sort of 150 to 175 meter angled holes. Hopefully they will start with those two conductors to find out what they are. Maybe this is the feeder of this strange system. In the past, they've compared it to the ATIC porphyry system in Sweden. It's a low-grade system that works in Sweden as a big bulk, sort of a linear open pit bulk tonnage system. We need a better grade than this in the James Bay area. And the hope is that there's a center of gravity somewhere within this linear trend, and that this 12-hole drill program that Azimuth is just starting at Piqua is going to tag into something that's got bigger widths and high grades and showing us that, hey, here there is something going on. Now we can focus. All this interest in the past couple of years in the copper potential of the James Bay area is justified. And so we will know probably by the end of this year whether the Piqua Mithril system is something that has potential for an economic copper deposit.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, Serengeti Resources moved up this week. Has this year's drill program delivered a new discovery at Quenica?
Jim, that was my thought when I saw the stock go above 30 cents, and I said, oh, they've got this 8-hole, 4,000-meter drill program going at Quenica. Some of the holes are exploration target holes that could add significantly to the tonnage that's already present in this copper gold system in the central zone. But then I saw they had put out a press release, and the press release was about the East Niv project that they had staked in early 2018 when the BC government, as part of its Geoscience BC Search 3 program, had published the results of a MAG radiometric airborne survey that they had done over a 9,600 square kilometer area. And when this came out, Dave Moore, Quinn Harper, the rest of the team went through all the results and started picking out all these MAG targets that they didn't know existed before, and that based on the historical work they could see, well, these are in areas that haven't seen any exploration. In particular, they focused on valley bottoms because that's where there's a lot of bush and trees that covers everything, and the slopes of these valleys always covered with talus that's come off the top. All the prospectors in that region, since the 40s have gone through there and banged all the rocks that are visible, but, going through bush and talus in the valley, there's not much there very easy to find. So it's conceivable that these MAG anomalies could represent something interesting. And they picked 8 of these, and it was only 7,600 hectares. And this particular one, the East Niv, was only 943 hectares. It was literally a postage stamp. And they did what modern systematic explorationists are supposed to do. And in 2018, they went out there and checked it out. Last year, they went out and did some more work. And of those 8 projects, RJ and East Niv emerged as the most interesting, with East Niv receiving the most focus this year. And the press release they put out combined the data sets of MAG, IP survey, geochemical sampling, and it showed that they appear to have, in the middle of this property, which they've since expanded to 20,000 hectares, they appear to have an intact porphyry intrusive center. And ironically, when they first went there in 2018 to check it out, they said, "Oh, look, rusty rock over there. We got to go there and sample it." And there was nothing in it, no copper, no gold, nothing. And now they realize that this is the phyllic core of a porphyry system where there is never any economic metals present. And the news that the graphics on that which they published this week, it put together a whole story. Here's a completely virgin, undrilled porphyry center within, the eastern limb of the Stikine terrain. The mineralization that they have in the outcrop, they have copper gold values, not super high off the scale, but comparable to the Kemes system, about 40 kilometers to the northeast. This is a high K calc alkaline system of the sort. They don't make monstrous deposits like in the Highland Valley, but they tend to be gold enriched. And 200 kilometers to the west is the Red Chris deposit, which started off as an ordinary couple 100 million ton deposit, and then when they went deeper, the gold and the copper grades became enriched, and Newcrest is now the majority owner of that project. Newcrest is a block caving expert, and it's clearly interested in taking this beyond the original pit and developing Red Chris as an underground high-grade copper gold mine. And so to find this target here in the middle of this area, this was something special. The market realized this. This changes the story. The Quanica, well, we have the existing resource. It's an optionality copper gold play. It would be nicer if it was bigger. Part of the program that they've got going this year is to try and find additional tonnage. POSCO, which earned 35%, has declined to participate in it, so they'll be diluted down to 33%, enabling Serengeti to get up to 67% as a result of the $1 million that they are spending there. But it's quite possible that these exploration holes won't deliver anything, and Serengeti's treasury is going to be, not particularly flush by the time December rolls around. So there was the risk that if the exploration drilling disappoints, this company will have a tough time financing for work next year. And the significance of the East Nev play is it's an entirely new play. The footprint of just the main showing area is 300 to 400 million tons down to a depth of 300 meters. They've done enough work to make this a district scale area. Ironically, another junior called International Samuel did have a property in that area, and a remnant of it sits inside the East Nev property, and it's now owned by Charlie Gregg, who, ironically, is one of the people who came up with GT's North Saddle and South Saddle project, the Tatoga, which is to the northwest of the Red Chris system in the Golden Triangle after the glaciers retreated in that. Charlie Gregg apparently is the underlying owner of the claims that were eventually abandoned in 2013 after International Samuel did some work but really didn't follow up anything. This area hasn't seen any serious exploration for the past 20, 30 years. It had some exploration in the 70s when Falconbridge found the Sustot project, which is a red bed copper type system about 15 kilometers to the east of East Nev. It's not large enough to be interesting, though Freeport-McMoran has staked a large land position around it and is checking it out. So East Nev has emerged as a very interesting new play. The company had a chance at drilling it this fall, but decided against rushing a few holes into it, which is a wise decision. The market response took the stock up to 35 cents. It shows that there are people looking at this. They see the scale of this within this particular porphyry center itself. They see the potential for repeat porphyry centers in the general vicinity. This will enable them to finance the in November, December, when we get the last of the Quanica results. They would resume work in late May, early June. So everything shuts down up there because of winter. Even on the Quanica, they're drilling the very last hole. This last hole, by the way, number 204, this is a deeper undercut of the hole that they drilled in the beginning of this program, 196, which is testing the northwest deep IP anomaly. This they generated in 2016, just when they were getting in bed with POSCO on that 65-35 relationship on the central zone. And that hole number 178, got 240 meters of 0.11 gram gold, which is not good enough, but it's interesting, and it had trace copper. They felt they had overshot it. They drilled 196. The diagrams they've published show that they did hit copper mineralization. That's better than what was hole 178. And this hole that they're drilling now, it's an 850-meter hole. It's designed to make or break this target. These other holes have helped them vector in where they think the guts of this is. If this hole, which they expect to have wrapped up by Thanksgiving on Monday, delivers a high-grade copper and gold, this could make a significant difference to Quanica, which one of the things it needs is more of what it already has. This, of course, would have to be high-grade gold and copper because it's too deep and below 500 meters to be open pitable. But this is what we're waiting for from the Quanica. They've got a couple other holes that are step-outs from the central zone, which they haven't told us anything about. But we will, hopefully get those assays in the next 4 to 6 weeks, which will tell us if Quanica got better. But the East Nev news tells us that it doesn't matter if Quanica doesn't get better. This company has the existing copper-gold optionality project at Quanica, and they have this brand new East Nev project generated through grassroots exploration effort, conjunction of government-sponsored general regional work with the whole entrepreneurial culture that is the Canadian explorationists looking at it, going in there, collecting all this data, and developing a target that is very, very interesting for a potential discovery next year when they tackle it with a drill program.
John, thank you so much for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been talking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.